Hello, welcome back to my channel. No, just kidding. Today we're going to be making something really fun. I've been wanting to try this trend. It's like a very trendy type of photo for a while now, and I thought I'd show you exactly how to do it because it's all over my Pinterest feed. I love retro things. I'm a little bit of a granny. I think I actually was born in the wrong era. Like, why do I love Billie Holiday? That one. You don't know who Billie Holiday is?
Sorry, big crickets.
If you have been on Pinterest, shopped online recently, you'd see a lot of brands who are doing food marketing for products, and this kind of ties into that as well. However, today it's going to be super easy, and I'm going to show you a one light setup and how to achieve this muted, old school, grainy kind of look. For the star of the show, I thought what better brand than to do Booth Hair. If you've had a look at their marketing, they really lean into the whole old school, retro, vintage type of vibe, and I absolutely love their color schemes. I love all of their content, so I thought this would be the perfect product to do so. So I'm going to be using these as the subject, and then I'm going to be incorporating some old vintage props. So this was just an old milk jug. See, I really wish I was around the days where your milk would get delivered in a crate at your front door. Like, I really wish I was around for that. Okay, let's set the foundations of our scene before we get styling. So first things first, I'm going to be setting up my camera and I'm going to be connecting to Capture One today. If you've not seen any of my videos about Capture One, do you even watch our YouTube channel? Because I rave about this program all the time. And if you're one of our students, you get discounts on Capture One. You're welcome. Capture One is a really good tool if you're working with product photography. It allows me to see my screen in live, so I can see what I'm doing while I'm over here and I don't have to keep walking back and forth all the time. I'm also using 100mm today. I just absolutely love the 100mm for product photography. It captures a lot of details, and I also want this product to be a true reflection of the size and the shape. I don't want to bow it. I don't want to make it look wide. It's just a good lens for that too. And then we're also going to be working with strobe. If you don't have strobes, you can still achieve a similar effect with constant lights. If you're not really sure what a strobe does, or you've never worked with them, but maybe you want to work with them, I do have a full YouTube video on how to use strobes. I go through all the features and show you how to connect it to your camera as well. So now that we're connected to Capture One, let's set the foundation of our scene. I've got two tables here. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm using a paper roll today and it's kind of wide. So I want to make sure that my paper roll can just come out seamlessly. For the paper roll, I'm using this really nice pastel yellow color. I have it mounted on a C-stand with the boom arm out, and I also have a sandbag because safety first, people, safety first. To make this style of image really work and lean into the vibe, we have to be very intentional with placement. So I've got my C-stand positioned far away from where my subject's actually going to be, and this will all make sense really soon when I get the lights out. So I'm just going to pull that all the way forward, and I'm just going to secure it with some clips down the front here. As you can see, I have a really long runway, and that is intentional for one reason. We don't want to light this background. We want to make sure it's got a level of mood to it, and you're just going to have to ignore all of the lights around me at the moment. This is for you guys so you can see what I'm doing. But we're only using one light source today, and the goal would be to keep this relatively dark. We don't want light and bright. We want to have some sort of contrast and mood. We want to lean into that vintage style. So before we do our lights, let's place in our props and our product just so we can see what we're even lighting. I'm going to keep this pretty close to the front of my scene. The idea would be to cut off half of the bottle. I just want to see the bottle peeking through, and then I'm going to add some biscuits to the top to create a platform for my product to sit on. Now, whilst it might look like I've just thrown those biscuits there, I actually did that with intention to create some sort of contrast. So we could always have it stacked like that, but I think having them a little off-centered to each other makes it look more styled. And then I'm going to place the product directly on top. Now I'm going to face the product away from where I intend on having my light. I don't want light to be hitting it like that. My light's going to be on the right hand side. So I'm going to just face it away just a little bit. That can stay there like that for now. I'm just going to raise my background a little bit just to cover the end. So for our lighting, we're using a Godox AD600 Pro strobe. This is my go-to. Absolutely love this strobe. 600 watts is a relatively powerful strobe. It's not the most powerful that you can get, but this works for pretty much everything that I'm shooting. My usual style is to shoot with a high aperture, meaning that I have pretty much everything in my scene focused. Everything's always crisp. That's my go-to style. This has a good amount of power to achieve a seamless lighting for those types of photos. So yeah, we are using the strobe today. And we're going to do something a little bit different again, because my usual style is really light, harsh. I use a lot of hard lighting, which means that I don't have any modifiers. But today we're going to go with something really soft, because we're trying to get that muted soft look. So I am using a softbox. This is a strip box. It's a wider one. I will have to confirm what the measurements are. We'll put this on the screen. Now, this is what I was getting at before, that we want to have some distance between our subject and the background, because we want to keep this really dark. So if I have my light positioned towards the front of my scene and I position it in an angle where it's now pointing forward, we're going to try and reduce the amount of light that hits this. So we don't want the light spreading from there to there, because that's what's going to happen. We point this here, that's going to light the background. We point this more forward, it's going to light the product and keep this relatively dark. It still will light it a little bit, but not as much as if it was pointing in that direction. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I want to make sure this is really soft. I want to try and eliminate glares, because we are using a strip box. I am naturally going to see a strip in the highlights or the glares of the product and the prop. So I will show you how we can minimize that too. So we'll start off here. I'm also going to lift it up and I'm going to go over. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because, again, I want to keep things really soft. I still want to have some contrast, but I don't want the product to be too dark. So we'll go about there. Now, things are going to get a little bit dark. I have to turn off all the constant lights around me so we don't introduce any of the lighting from that, and we rely on the strobes. So for our settings today, I am shooting at a bit of a lower aperture than I would usually. I'm going to sit at 5.6. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't really want that background in focus. I want to have a level of depth and I want to add some blur to it. So I'm sitting at 5.6. That way I still get the product relatively in focus. For our shutter speed, we still want to have that perfect sync speed. So my shutter's sitting at 1/160. That's going to ensure that my trigger, my camera, and the shutter all talk to each other at the same time and make sure it flies. Make sure it fires at the right time. I also am using a tripod so I know things are stable. And then for my ISO, I have that sitting at 100 because, again, I want to try and rely on these strobes as much as possible. If I were to take a shot with no strobes on, I'm just going to show you the result. It should be relatively dark, and it is, which is good. That's what we want. That means that we're going to be relying on the strobes as our light source. So I'm going to skip a few steps here and I'm going to go straight to my trigger and the correct settings to expose this scene. If you do want to know more about strobes and how they work and how to get the right exposures and powers from your strobes, definitely go check out that YouTube video, or you can check out our course. We talk about strobes in pretty much every single video, so you're well and truly educated on how to use them in the course. Cool. So if I take a shot now that I've introduced my strobe, we have a very well lit scene. And that's really pretty. It's still really soft. We're lighting the product. I just want to show you what I meant before by we don't want the light hitting the front of that product directly, because it's going to create glare. So as you can see, we've got a really hard highlight at the top. So just by pointing it away, it's going to just fall softly on the side of the product instead of the label, because the point would be to see what the label says. Okay, but we now have a little bit too much darkness. So how do we fix that? Well, we need a fill light. Now, at the start of this video, I said this was a one light setup, and I'm sticking to my word. We are not introducing any other strobes today. So we're going to introduce something that's really inexpensive, a piece of foam board. So this is just a piece of white cardboard. You can get this from Spotlight or a craft store. And what it's going to do is I'm going to place this on the opposite side to my key light. The key light's going to fire. It's going to hit this piece of whiteboard and it's going to bounce back into these darker areas on the product and light it really nicely. You could do the same thing if you had a second strobe. Your fill light would be with the strobe. And as you can see, if we go before and after, that whiteboard has made a huge difference in how lit the opposite side of the product is. So that's looking pretty good. I think we just need to maneuver this strobe around just a little bit so we have more light hitting the front of that bottle. So it's just slightly lifted light into that bottle. We probably could bring it back just a little bit. Now your lights aren't stuck in the mud. You can always move them around depending on what you're trying to achieve. I might just bring my light up and over a bit more just to get some more light hitting the front of that bottle. Now, these results are showing a color grade that I already have on them. So let me just take that color grade off because it makes a huge difference. So that is what it looks straight out of camera. And then I will just add my color grade because you can do that directly in Capture One. So that's looking pretty good. However, I still want some more depth in that background. So what I'm going to do is cut some light. So what's happening right now, this light's just spreading and we want to make sure that we're creating some sort of obstruction for the background so it doesn't hit the background. I'm using another piece of foam board. This is a black card this time. So what I'm going to do is just place it in my scene. Paige is going to take this shot for me and I'm just going to block light with it. Oh, we might not have it in scene, so I couldn't see what I was doing. And as you can see, it's created some nice depth. You can move that around to create different shapes. You could bring it more forward and cut a bigger spread of light, or you could come a little bit closer and actually create some sort of shape. So that's a really fun way to play with shadows and make some different shapes. I think I want mine relatively soft, so I'll come back out a little bit. I think that's really fun. Now this is a really fun shot as it is. However, I'm still leaning towards that vintage look and that is going to come out in the editing. So I'm going to pull this photo over to Photoshop and I'm going to show you how to make this look even older. That's our final shot. Before we go, I do want to show you how to minimize this glare. If you really don't like the look of that, you could just get rid of it in post-production, or you could also introduce another tool, but I'm going to introduce some diffuser paper. What I'm going to do, if we are using the diffuser paper, I'm going to bring this light out. I'm going to move the diffuser paper in right next to the scene, like so, and then I'm just going to reposition the light. Now I'm not really sure what this is going to look like yet, so let's take a test shot and we'll soon find out. So basically the diffuser paper is going to create another level of diffusion between the softbox and the product, and it's just going to spread that light out and make it really soft. Let's just take a shot. Now I have moved the key light, so it is going to look a little bit different. I just have to reposition. So we've lost a little bit of light on the front of that product only because I've moved the position of the light itself. And now we're back. So if we have a look at the shot before, you'll see how hard that glare is on the product, on the product and also the prop. And then if we look at this shot, you'll see how soft the glare is on that product and also the prop. Now we're kind of back to where we were before. I just need to block that light again. But as you can see, we have a much softer glare on that bottle and of course on the product as well. So just one extra tool, diffuser paper, and I'll put where you can buy it in our caption below. So as you can see, that was a super easy setup. We have one light, we had a piece of cardboard as our fill, we had a piece of cardboard to darken the background, and it was a super easy edit on Photoshop as well, just to add that grain. There are plenty of apps out there that will do similar things as well. But as always, if you do want to learn more about strobes, product photography, lighting, editing, all of the above, we do have our course Creative Scoop, or you can just binge watch our YouTube channel or go to our Instagram because we give away a lot of free information on there as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope I see you in the next one. I've got work to do. See ya. You know what I wanted to be when I was younger? Like, this is so rogue. No, not the milkman. I want to be a postman. All right, cut. No. Let me do that ending again.